With a typical family, over $700 more every month just to stay even. That's the Biden extremist tax you pay every day. You pay it at the gas pump because of the extremist war against American energy, shutting down pipelines and using red tape to stop new development. You pay it in the devastation in your retirement account. You pay it in the border crisis and out-of-control crime wave. And now, they've driven America into a recession. Our most powerful weapon to stop them is our vote. It's in our hands to stop the damage they're doing to our families and America. November 8th, vote.
Well, I always talk about how nice Dr. Ty Parker and Fountains Family Dentistry is and that you should go talk to them, but I forget that sometimes when you're getting your teeth worked on, you can't talk very much, but they'll treat you very nice anyway. It's not much of a conversation that you're having, but they will treat you like you're a kid because they do help kids so much. My kids just went there a couple weeks ago, and they always walk away having a great experience at Fountains Family Dentistry. Once again, it was after school, and it was actually kind of late after school because we had robotics club and a bunch of other stuff going on, but they will stay late because they know that's convenient for your schedule. They also will open early some days because that's convenient for your schedule. So give them a call. Right now, heading into the end of the year with benefits probably expiring here soon, you want to use everything you've got, especially if you have dental. Give them a call. Fountains Family Dentistry is in Fairview Heights, Illinois. Easy to get to from either side of the river, right off of Highway 64. And the best way to get their number is to go to their website, and you can see everything they can do for you there, too. It's fountainsfamilydentistry.com.
If you own a house in St. Louis and you want to sell it as is without any inspections or need to make any repairs, call Chris Buys Homes St. Louis at 314-782-8000 or at chrisbuyshomeStLouis.com and get your cash offer without any obligation, commissions, banks, or headaches. Chris buys vacant houses, inherited houses, fixer-uppers, beautiful houses, even the tenant won't pay their rent apartment. Google Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis. That's Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis. And check out the best reviews from satisfied customers. When you sell to Chris, you decide when you want to move, according to your schedule and your terms. Go to chrisbuyshomesinstlouis.com. Google Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis or call 314-782-8000. That's 314-782-8000. And get the offer you have been waiting for. Chris Buys Homes in stlouis.com. Chris Buys Homes in stlouis.com or call 314-782-8000.
This November 8th, be sure to finish your ballot and vote for your judges. Missouri's judicial system gives voters the final say in retaining their judges. So know your judges before you vote. Visit yourmissouriJudges.org and learn about the nonpartisan judges up for retention this year. That's yourmissouriJudges.org. It's up to you to help make sure we have skilled, fair, and impartial judges. Know your judges and finish the ballot proudly. Visit yourmissouriJudges.org.
Paid for by the Missouri Bar, Misha Epps, Executive Director.
Inside of you and the fiend that you are hiding to.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
An lonesome man in your own soul. Love him till he's been made whole. Feed the poor.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Happy to be with you here on a Wednesday afternoon. I am really excited about our next guest in studio. Very busy day on the Annie Frey Show because we have our very own doctors from Gateway ENT in studio with us. Great partners and sponsors of the Annie Frey Show. And of course, you guys all know Dr. Scott Hardeman. This is the first time you've been in studio. We've been in studio together, right?
I think we did once way back, but it was pre-COVID, if there was such a thing.
Yeah, remember that. Yeah. And we also have Dr. Steve West with Gateway ENT in studio with us. It's a pleasure to meet you.
It's a pleasure to meet you as well.
And thank you for being in studio, because I love these conversations that we've been having over the years, and, you know, to be able to be talking about pre-COVID and also what I will add is post-COVID, that's kind of refreshing, I think, to say.
Indeed. I think, there is still around. There's still a thing, but I still think it's time for all of us to kind of recognize that this is probably here to stay now. And so it's time to start living with it and learning that there's certainly other respiratory things like RSV, for instance, that we really need to be concerned about now versus the COVID situation.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Dr. West, I'll ask you this question first here. There are a lot of symptoms that COVID mirrored with other viruses or with other conditions that people may have. At Gateway ENT right now, are you seeing people that have been affected by COVID and now they're living with the aftermath of that? I know that taste was something. I had that experience with people in my family as well, where it was the taste. Things didn't taste the same. Things didn't smell the same. You used to love the smell of coffee. Now you can't stand the smell of coffee.
Absolutely.
Has that lasted, or what's the situation with that now?
It's been interesting. In the original strain of COVID, there was about 80% of people who had smell and taste affected. That is no longer true. We still see those long-term patients, and to be honest, after a couple of years, they're most likely is where they're going to be. But nowadays, you still see that. It seems to be more self-limited. We still see people who have after effects of COVID. Like I'll see someone a month, 6 weeks later who gets a secondary infection, and that's the things that we can treat. They get all the inflammation, then they get a secondary sinus infection on top of it, and that's treatable. And they then tend to improve from that.
Okay, well, Dr. Hardeman, in the years plural that we've been talking about COVID, and you've been advising on what I've always appreciated was a very level-headed approach to it when there was so much noise surrounding the issue. I'm curious about people who you see or people who you don't see that maybe you should see that have these types of conditions or symptoms that maybe have felt chronic and it's something that they've lived with, sinuses or allergies maybe. Do they come to Gateway ENT, sit down with yourself or with Dr. West or one of the other great ENTs that you have there and potentially get some relief?
Yeah, so we see obviously a lot of things related to the respiratory tree. So clearly the COVID stuff has sort of played into that. But, there's many other chronic conditions that we manage as well, hearing loss, throat disorders. But I would say a good portion, certainly over the past couple of years, has related to things like chronic nasal congestion, difficulty breathing through their nose, sinus-type symptoms, as Steve was alluding to. And that seems to, like most respiratory illnesses, kind of carried through this time. But it was something that people have had for a long time prior to that. So while we may not see folks sometimes early on, they may go to an urgent care, they may go to their primary care doctor for an acute illness, we certainly encourage that if those symptoms are persisting or if it's happening with some frequency, to be evaluated. We have some tricks to trade that we can hopefully make them feel better. And, obviously there are some things that even warrant some surgical intervention at time that can develop.
Yeah, I think so many people are used to, especially, I don't know, I'm being ageist here. I think the older you are, the more stubborn you are.
Agreed.
but you might have some issues that you think maybe just are part of aging or part of, it's always the way it's always been. My dad had it or my mom had it. And you experience chronic trouble and you don't think to yourself, maybe I don't have to live like this.
Well, I think one, certainly as we age, is we see an awful lot of folks with hearing loss issues, and there's a tendency, we get our eyes checked and don't think twice about that or throw on a pair of contacts or glasses, but people do struggle with hearing loss, sometimes fairly mild hearing loss if they have extreme demands on them from a professional perspective, but we tend to see our parents and hear the old days of just dealing with their hearing loss and noise exposure, but there's a lot that can be done to rehabilitate hearing.
Yeah, now we see that, and there used to be a stigma around hearing aids, but now with everyone walking around with things in their ears, people walking down streets, talking to them, what we think are talking to themselves, I think even among the older population, not that we're ageist, but the older population, there's more an acceptance, I think, of things being in the ear. We see cochlear implants now with even devices actually behind the ear.
Yeah, so. And I also think it's generally speaking, or at least what I've heard of, is that it's maybe kind of hard to know that, like, maybe it would be hard for me to know that I'm suffering from hearing loss, but people in the household, or maybe when you go visit mom and dad, you're like, why is the television so incredibly loud? Or why can't you hear basic things in a room? Other people might notice it about somebody before you notice it about yourself.
I'll take hearing loss is definitely a family. It's a family issue, and it's not unusual to see family members in with someone who's coming in experiencing hearing loss. Brothers, cousins, everyone, they get to family reunions and people say, I can't hear, we're not there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see it too. Just as you age, I think there's a tendency for a little lack of social interaction too. I mean, I've seen this with my own family members too, that they just tend to kind of withdraw a little bit from conversations. And, there's even sometimes a perception that perhaps they're being rude when they'll start to talk, and that's really not the case. There's a legitimate issue, and certainly in background noise, of understanding speech and being able to engage in the conversation. And so from a cognitive perspective, as we age, it's important to keep that hearing function as vibrant as you can.
So, it's common for hearing loss to deteriorate with age, but I remember the Discman and the Walkman and the headphones that went along with that. So that's something that my generation has pretty much grown up with. But kids are putting things in their ears. I would imagine they're listening to things too loud. Does that actually hurt your hearing?
It can hurt your hearing.
If I have these headphones on, my ears right now too loud, does that hurt my hearing?
No, I don't think so.
Really? So I can turn it up? Everyone's always like, you're going to lose your hearing. That doesn't affect it?
If your ears hurt or they're ringing afterwards, it's too loud. Otherwise, you're okay.
All right. I feel empowered now.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So you mentioned, Dr. Hardeman, you mentioned RSV. And I have a dear friend of mine whose little kiddo had RSV. And it's kind of one of those viruses, I would say pre-COVID, was kind of one that would come up and it was a little scary. You have to pay attention to it. What do people need to be on the lookout for RSV? Who can get it? How does it affect you?
Yeah, it's largely a pediatric issue, and the younger, the more significant it tends to be. It's associated with development of asthma later on as well. It's not too dissimilar in some ways from the COVID virus, and that's been one of the challenges in developing vaccine technology that would help to ward that off. There are some things potentially near on the horizon with some trials, even in the St. Louis area, that would impact the pediatric population in a really positive way. Because RSV definitely, kids end up in the hospital a lot with that. Typical things, shortness of breath is a big one with that. Difficulty breathing from retractions where you're trying to getting air in and you're just having a hard time mobilizing that. All the upper respiratory symptoms that go along with it. That and influenza are all running pretty common right now.
Yeah. So you can't do anything to prevent you can get a flu shot, but you can't do anything to prevent from RSV, right?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Are all these virus transmitted? How is it different? How is flu, influenza, as you fancy people say, flu and RSV and COVID, how are they transmitted? The same or different?
They're fairly transmitted the same. And, they're respiratory viruses, and you inhale them. It has to do with contact. A lot of these viruses, when we were isolating over the COVID years, a lot of these, we didn't run into the problems with RSV and flu nearly as much because we were all isolating from each other. So it's definitely a contact inhalational respiratory viruses.
Is there, so I have 4 kids. Dr. West, is there, people talk about kids and exposure and for my children, especially my 6-year-old, when she was very young, was spending her time inside. Molly, my 16-month-old, was kind of born on the coming out of COVID time, but my kids haven't been exposed. My second 2 kids at a young age have not been exposed to the world the same way my older 2 were. Does that make a difference?
It can. I mean, obviously, in the short term, if you're not exposed, you're not gonna be sick as much. Now, long term, there are some issues with that in terms of people who live in sterile environments don't build up immunity later in life. So there is some benefit to exposure. In short term, it's good. Long term, it can lead to problems down the road with worsening asthma or worsening symptoms as we get older and develop.
Dr. Hardeman, my husband's philosophy is God made dirt and dirt don't hurt.
Right. So I was just thinking, rub a little dirt in it when you were saying that. I mean, I think
absolutely.
I think there is something to be said about a little bit of an immune challenge with that too. It helps to, you get exposed to things. There's some cross immunity that can develop. There was even a little bit of that with COVID that we were starting to see with some of the other coronaviruses out there that potentially could be somewhat protective in that nature too. So, yeah, I think you don't want kids to get sick, but at the same time, some exposure can be healthy for their immune system to develop a good, robust response.
So, when we talk about influenza, RSV, COVID, allergies, all of these things can kind of hit at the same time of year. What are the conditions that people will experience that go from, I'm going to grab a tissue or maybe take a Sudafed to, I really think I should see an ENT for this?
Well,
broad question.
It's I think duration and severity of symptoms, I think generally speaking, I mean, it's pretty well accepted that we tend to say, a respiratory illness, unless you're really, really ill, respiratory illness will kind of run its course and you'll be better in a 5 to 7 day window of time. Sometimes there's some nagging, lingering symptoms depending on the severity of it that can go longer than that. But if you're, a week into it, 10 days into it, and feel like it stepped off a cliff, or if you're doing better and then suddenly it gets a lot worse at that time period, that's probably worthwhile seeking attention. And then, of course, if you're in a vulnerable population with immune issues or older individuals, certainly now, both with COVID and with influenza, I think it's wise to get checked for that. There are some early interventions with Tamiflu and antivirals and Paxlovid that you can use to treat coronavirus if you're in that susceptible population as well.
How do you feel about where we are right now with COVID? I'll let you can both answer that separately. Dr. West, maybe you go first. Like where we have what the journey we've traveled has been quite a tumultuous journey. But where we are right now in November of 2022, how do you feel about it?
I think it's like I say, it's been a couple of years now of tumult, and I think we're in a pretty stable place. It's something that we're going to live with. It's a chronic disease. We're going to see it every year. We're in the post-COVID era. It doesn't mean you don't get checked. I think everyone has to make their decisions to the vaccines and do that as they feel they need to. Mm-hmm. But I think from a treatment standpoint, from a response standpoint, from a medical standpoint, I think we're in a pretty stable area.
Dr. Hardeman, is the virus that we're dealing with right now different than the one that hit in the beginning of 2020?
Yeah, I think there have been predictions all along that some of these viruses that they maybe perhaps get a little more contagious, but lose some of their virulence over time. And I would agree with Steve. I think we're just in that time now where we're going to add this to the list of other viruses that perhaps seasonally, perhaps all throughout the year we have to deal with. But we've pivoted, generally speaking, from just talking in these grim terms of mortality and what hospitalizations and case numbers. And I think if you look at the case numbers right now, they're definitely at a very sustainable level. They're low. We'll see some peaks here and there, I think, during respiratory season. And there's always a chance that there could be a little mutation take place, that something could pop back up again. But it seems as if we're on the trajectory that we're sort of becoming to a point where we can live with this. And again, like we talked early on from years ago, we're in a different place just because we have vaccine technology, number one. We have tons of treatments available now. We understand the virus a bit more and what it does to our body. And so even in those individuals that are hospitalized, I think the rates of recovery are exceptionally good now.
I think about there's all of the advice that we've been hearing about what to do, what not to do over the past several years about COVID. But I think about every single medical provider. You guys are at Gateway ENT. Gateway ENT has been around for decades. You have a very well-established, reputable ENT practice that people have gone to and trusted for some time. But it seems like the breakdown that exists in my outside observation of people going to their doctor to get medical advice, because there was so much noise coming from so many other places, that your actual own medical decisions about what you're going to do for yourself, to think that they would be possibly made by anybody outside of the patient medical provider relationship is a really kind of frightening thing. It doesn't matter where you are on any political spectrum or, where you are on COVID or vaccines and all that stuff. You should be able to go to your doctor and say, what should I do? And have a private conversation regarding your health. I mean, we have Brad in here. Brad's talked on the air many times before about how many heart attacks have you had?
3.
He's had 3 heart attacks.
Mm-hmm.
He had the first one at
27
years old. And he's lost a lot of weight since then and been a heart healthy person.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys talked about this at the very beginning. You were talking about something that an issue that you've always lived with. You always thought it was normal. One of the issues that I always lived with, I always thought was normal, was whenever I would sneeze or cough real hard, I'd have this funny pain in my arm right underneath. And I never thought anything of it. Ended up having the heart attack. They put a stent in and all that other fun stuff. And I never had that issue again. And it's like, wow, that has been there my whole life. That where I had the heart attack was a congenital issue. There's a tortuous artery around the top of my heart, something or other. I don't remember exactly what it's called.
Left it to your medical providers.
Yeah, I left the medical providers to decide. But the other part of that is I've been following my medical provider's advice and guidance on what I should do to fully recover. And I think that I've recovered pretty well.
It frightens me that somebody like Brad might consider anything other than what his cardiologist has to say about what he should do about any of his medical care.
Well, we can add that to the list of sneezing-related symptoms now, pain underneath your arms,
Yeah,
and
there
something
you
like
go.
that. So we'll put that on our list.
Go to your cardiologist.
So,
and see
I mean,
what's
I
going
think
on.
we would both agree that being your own advocate in medical situations is always very important to be, and to be astute and aware. But Dr. Google sometimes is not always good. There was a
That's
lot.
where I got my degree from.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of noise during that time period, and I think at least I personally kind of enjoyed the conversation when patients would want to talk about what the options were that are out there. And I mean, I think everyone feels that way in our group too, that we're pretty open to just having those discussions with patients on a regular basis.
Yeah, I like whenever people, take an interest in their own health. And that's the underlying process. When people are Googling things, they're concerned about something. And we have to realize that, even if sometimes we don't think that may be a significant or it's not something we would be concerned about, well, we have to take the patients into consideration because they're obviously worried about something. They're coming to see us for some reason. And we respect that.
And what do you tell the person who's out there right now who, of course, if they have an ENT that they don't like, go to Gateway ENT, obviously gatewaydrs.com, learn more about what they provide. But any medical provider that they have, if they don't feel like, isn't it a broken relationship if you don't feel like you can go in and talk to your medical provider and be honest and have that open conversation?
Absolutely. That's the trust. I mean, even with everything that's been going on with medicine, it still is a relationship between a patient and their physician, and that's a sacred relationship. That's a very, if you don't trust that relationship, you need to find a new relationship.
Yeah.
And it's tricky, we're blessed in St. Louis that we have a lot of great doctors and medical facilities that are here. But it is a tricky interaction you have a very limited time to meet patients. And if you have a long-term relationship, which our specialty is kind of unique because we do see a lot of folks that come back to us for chronic care and, we take care of little kids and then they grow up and we take care of them and their parents and et cetera, which is really fun to see that happen. That's an advantage that you get to know them and you kind of recognize that body language and other things. But for new patients coming in, it's always challenging for any physician, no matter what the specialty is, to make that connection in a very limited period of time and be able to recognize the nonverbal things that they're saying that may indicate what's going on with their health as well.
And I want to, before we have to run here, I want to talk about Gateway ENT and one of the reasons why I was so eager to lend my endorsement to what you do there with the whole team of ENTs. Amazing doctors that people can see, and they get you in pretty fast because they have a big team and they're ready to take your phone call. The idea that you are prioritizing the patient at the epicenter of your care for them is a huge, huge deal. And there are places out there who provide great medicine and provide great care, but they're also part of a network that means that they have potentially another master to serve at the same time. You guys don't.
No, I think the real beauty in being, and we're proudly independent physicians and hope to stay that way our entire careers, is that it really allows us to focus on one thing, and that's delivering great health care to people. And, Dr. West, one of my partners, Dr. Zai, Dr. Yoon, and Dr. Gon, we've been together for a long time. And, we have a good working relationship with one another. It's a great collegial environment. And we really kind of try and parlay that over to just trying to take great care of patients and do it in a timely fashion.
And Dr. West, I'd imagine, does this become a higher peak time of year for you folks, or is it steady all throughout the year?
It's typically steady throughout the year, but sure, as respiratory illnesses kick up, even if we don't see them acutely, we see the after effects of them. So absolutely, this time of year always is busy.
Well, I want to encourage you, if you are in the business looking in the market for a new ENT, or if you have a chronic issue, or if you have something that's new that is frustrating you, to call 314-843-3828 and talk to the people at Gateway ENT. Get in and see one of these two fine doctors or one of the other amazing doctors that they have on staff there, because I do stand by them. So much so that when Jensen, as many of you know, my daughter broke her foot, the first person who I went to ask for help on this was Dr. Hardeman to say, tell me who does business like you do that has the patient at the center of the care, because I need that for my pediatric orthopedic situation, and you put me in great hands.
Good.
So, and she's back on her feet.
That's great.
She's back
No pun
playing
intended,
volleyball.
right?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you guys for being in here.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you. GatewayDRS.com. That's GatewayDoctors.com. If you want to learn more, call them, mention the Annie Frey Show when you do, and I can't promise this, but maybe they'll get you in faster. I don't know. Just say the Annie Frey Show sent you and see what you can get. GatewayDRS.com. We'll be back with more Annie Frey Show after this. Don't go away.
You learn to hate all because
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Hi, George Weber. Check out my alter ego, Skip Weber, every Saturday night, 9 to 11. The Saturday Evening Rock Show, the greatest rock and roll show on a talk station in the world. Don't miss it.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Congress has authorized trillions in new spending, along with doubling the size of the IRS agency in just the last few months. Do you think that is by accident? No, it is with a purpose, to go after small businesses, employees, and individuals who have not filed or paid their taxes. If this is you, don't panic, just call. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm in St. Louis. Interest and penalties on your tax bill won't stop until you take control. Call me, Lance Drury. I'll tell you in advance an affordable fee, which includes costs and expenses, that works for your business and family. Your first visit to the Lance Drury Law Firm is free and confidential, so you have nothing to lose. Call me today. Remember, if you have IRS issues, you have legal issues. You need an attorney. You need us, the Lance Drury Law Firm. Call me, Lance Drury, at 314-260-6120. Or go to Lance, DRURY law.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Save $50 to $3,500 with double carrier cool cash rebates on a qualifying new high-efficiency furnace or HVAC system. For details, get in your comfort zone at aircomfortservice.com.
Today is November 2nd, which means the midterm elections are just 6 days away. Keep it here for full coverage on your home for conservative talk, 97.1. This is the Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. This has been a busy show and a great show, and I'm glad that you're spending some of your time with us. It's definitely one, if you're on the Odyssey app and you didn't get to hear the beginning of the show, we had Tom DeVore in studio with us talking about the Safety Act, the race in Illinois, and what this crime bill, the Safety Act, is going to do specifically to Illinois, but also spilling out into other areas around the state, like right here in St. Louis. As if St. Louis needs more crime, a bigger crime problem. Give me a break. Did you hear about the police officer that was carjacked, uniformed police officer that was carjacked outside of the St. Louis Blues game?
I didn't. Is this another one? Because I know that there was one a couple months ago where there were 2 police officers that were carjacked or attempted to be carjacked. But outside the Blues game last night or the night before?
So let me pull this up here because it's ridiculous. The St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Hopefully it doesn't make me pay money because I'm not going to. Deputy for the St. Louis Sheriff's Office was robbed at gunpoint of his department-issued 9mm pistol, his personal car, and his cell phone after Monday night's Blues hockey game.
My goodness. What are we even doing? Who do you call
decriminalizing crime?
Right. Well, who do you even call whenever you can't call the police?
The deputy was carjacked while in full uniform after he directed traffic as part of a secondary job following the game. He was shaken but unhurt in the robbery that happened about 12:20 a.m. Tuesday on the 1500 block of Clark Avenue downtown. The deputy, 37 years old, finished directing traffic after Monday night's game and went to his car to head home. He noticed that his car, a 2011 Chevrolet Cruze, was leaking oil and decided not to drive the car in that condition. Betts said the deputy called for roadside assistance while sitting in his vehicle on Clark. He's just sitting in the car and sees these two guys go past him. They walk down the street, they go down a little ways, then they turn around and start coming back. Now, we try to train for everything, Betts said, but as a sheriff's deputy, spider senses should have been tingling. The two young men walked, quote, right up on him. Both of them have guns, put the gun to his head and say, "Give me the keys." Police said the robbers fought with the deputy for his gun, which was in his holster, then took off in the deputy's car with his gun and phone. The suspects are described as men between 15 and 20 years old. St. Louis police have not released any photos or video that may have been captured by surveillance on that block. Authorities are pinging the stolen cell phone, Betts said late Tuesday morning, and the deputy was with Illinois State Police investigators to try to find it and the 9mm Glock handgun. Quote, "If we can locate the phone has an app on it that will tell us where the car is." The robbers might not have realized they were robbing a deputy at first, Betts concedes. They asked for the keys while he was seated and then got close enough to him and to see he was in sheriff's deputy uniform. Surprise. Unbelievable. Or is it? Or is it totally believable? The whole story is in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. You can check it out there.
What's the logical conclusion, right? If we are not going to prosecute crime, what fear does a criminal have of being locked up? A lot of people out there, I see them on our chat, I see them out there in the Twitterverse and all this other stuff, like, well, what can they do that would preemptively stop crime? Well, you preemptively stop crime by prosecuting the crime that is happening so that those that are considering committing a crime would then reconsider because they know that they will get prosecuted and they'll go to jail.
Yeah. Gosh. It's such a shame. St. Louis is such an amazing town.
Oh,
it makes me angry that we're trashing this place.
It is. It is like, because like there's no other city in the world that has an arch. I walked out of Busch Stadium after one of the Cardinals games, and I don't know what that street is there that runs in between Busch and Ballpark Village. But whenever you face west, you look down Clark, and you can see Union Station, and then over Union Station, you can see the Ferris wheel.
It's beautiful.
And it's such a cool city. Such a cool city. I've been to a couple other cities. There's no other cities out there that look like this one. And we're just content to elect people who are content to not prosecute criminals.
Why don't we care? Why do people not care? I mean, the people in the city don't care because they cared and it got trashed and they left. But why is it? I mean, folks, I know I talk about Illinois, and I know that listen, folks, I understand that there are many of you listening right now who are have your fill of Illinois politics. And I'm telling you what, after Tuesday, things are going to be a little bit different. We won't be talking about it as much. But the God's honest truth is there's nobody else in this city who's talking about Illinois politics. And we have a large portion of our audience who is right over there. Mm-hmm. Like, I can get to Illinois faster than I can get to St. Charles. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is I know that if you want local Missouri politics, Mark Cox and Mark Reardon have you covered. And as a station, we're family here. And they know that I have Illinois covered. So I know I talk about it a lot. But the problems that are plaguing the entire state of Illinois are rooted right here in the city of St. Louis. They're the same problems. There's a lack of care about this city and wanting to uphold it. Instead, it's political bickering around every single corner. It just chafes me to no end to think that the real problem that exists in this city and in the state of Illinois, and probably in its own capacity in the state of Missouri, is the constant struggle of political power is the premier priority of the people who can actually make a difference. The tug of war over who's going to have power never ceases. It never even stops to look at the crowd around it and the city or the state around it that's crumbling. Because if you take your eye off the tug of war, you might lose the tug of war. And in the middle of it, everybody is losing. Because this city is a crime-ridden dumpster fire. You can't, I mean, I went to a Cardinals game. It was the Yadier Molina Wainwright record breaker. I left that game and I walked back to the radio station at 10:30 at night. It's one of the dumbest things that I've ever done. I was trying to pick up an Uber or a taxi cab, and I couldn't get one, and I was more afraid of standing by myself in this city for 15 minutes waiting for a car to pick me up than I was to walk through this city at 10:30 at night by myself. But I was scared, and it was I probably made the wrong decision, but I shouldn't have to be afraid in this city. Nobody is out there even talking about how to make this situation better. What we're talking about is ridiculous Kim Gardner and how she's going to save the criminals from the inequity that exists in this city. Barf. Make it stop. Where is the sanity? Because in the state of Illinois, we have lost our ever-loving minds. And in the city of St. Louis, I promise you that you're listening to this show right now, outside of the city of St. Louis, and there are things that you love to do in the city of St. Louis, and you won't go do them because you don't want to come downtown. That is so incredibly sad. And it could be fixed. If I were the mayor of St. Louis, I would hire... With every dollar I had, I would hire police officers, and I would make this the safest city in the country. Is that possible? I don't know. I don't know anything about being a mayor, but I'm going to Google it on the break, and I'm going to come back with plans. Because somebody needs to. Somebody needs to fight for this city. Somebody needs to care enough about bringing people in here and pushing criminals out. Why? Because they are the literal bad guys. Does that sound like Gilbert Gottfried? Squawk.
No.
Let's get Ted Cruz. Let's get Ryan Wiggins in here, and we'll talk about it here in just a minute. Don't go away.
Are you or someone you know seeking help for a substance use disorder in Franklin County? Prevent Ed's free peer support service can connect clients with the medication-assisted treatment provider. Our certified peer specialists guide you through the process and ensure transportation to appointments and to pick up medication. Clients can generally be seen by a treatment provider in 24 to 36 hours. Access this free service at 314-246-9788 or at prevented.org/peers.
Updating your home with James Hardie Siding has never been more popular. With all the options available, you need a partner to ensure you maximize your investment. Siding Express is ready to refresh the appearance of your home or totally transform the look by installing Hardie Shake, Board and Batten, lap siding, or a stone accent to make it your dream home again. Siding Express is an elite preferred James Hardie contractor. They also carry Anderson and Marvin windows and doors. Need ideas? Go to sidingexpress.com and schedule a free, no-obligation consultation today. sidingexpress.com.
So Thomas Helbig, Bob Kershaw, the family business at the Retirement Advisory Group, waiting on your phone call. I understand. We just saw that the Fed raised rates again 0.75 points. That's brand new information today. I don't know what that means for your retirement, but I do know that every time that the Fed does that, that's because they're trying to provide a correction to the economy, which means you're looking at your situation, your retirement, and wondering, what is the future of what I've worked really hard to save and sacrifice? If you don't know the answer to that question, or if you haven't thought that question yet, I want you to take that question to Thomas Helbig. 314-993-9494. Thomas is going to work with you to listen to you for what you've saved. He is going to help you prepare a worry-free retirement. I can't stress enough how important it is to understand how he has never had a client lose a penny. Become one of those clients. Listen to him talk to you about your retirement for free. 314-993-9494, online at retirementkey.com.
KFTK FM Florissant.
Driven by the Bommarito Automotive Group.
97.1 FM Talk.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
They're not done yet. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. The Fed makes another aggressive move on interest rates with a 0.75 point hike, the fourth in a row.
We understand that our actions affect communities, families, and businesses across the country.
Chairman Jay Powell says at some point it will be appropriate to slow the pace of rate hikes aimed at cooling inflation, but he says there's significant uncertainty around that.
We still have some ways to go, and incoming data since our last meeting suggests that the ultimate level of interest rates will be higher than previously expected.
That warning about stubbornly high inflation could rattle the markets. Stocks turning mixed while Powell's been talking, and now the Dow's down 148. Some Democrats in Congress have been urging the Fed to ease up on rate hikes already. The White House emphasizing the Fed's independence, adding that the Fed's efforts to lower inflation are part of a transition to more steady and stable economic growth. President Biden plans stops in several states in the waning days of the midterm elections, but tonight he'll give a speech near the Capitol Capitol about preserving democracy with a warning about election deniers.
That rise of rhetoric that we are seeing, you have people out there who listen and who take that rhetoric very seriously.
Spokeswoman Karine Jean-Pierre says this isn't a regular moment in our democracy, describing as alarming the number of Republican officials who say they won't accept election results, though she also insists the president will call out rhetoric with the potential to fuel violence from either side of the aisle. Grief-stricken families confronting Florida school shooter Nicholas Cruz for a second day in court.
You robbed Alyssa a lifetime of memories.
Lori Al-Hadef lost her daughter the day Cruz killed 17 people at a Florida high school in 2018. He will be sentenced to life in prison today. The jury could not unanimously agree on the death penalty. America is listening to Fox News.
Simply Safe was named the best home security of 2022 by U.S. News & World Report. But we don't do what we do for the accolades. We do it to protect you and everything you love. Our advanced sensors and HD cameras are powered by 24/7 professional monitoring for faster police response. Visit simplysafe.com/holiday to get 40% off any new system today. Advanced home security, 24/7 professional monitoring for less than $1 a day. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Finding the right Medicare plan? Oof, no easy feat. Kind of like those dances my granddaughter loves making me do. But then I found Walgreens Find Rx coverage. Lets you compare plans online, over the phone, or in person. Made Medicare shopping so easy. Plus, I found plans with low-cost copays. I can get down with that. When you need to talk Medicare, Walgreens is here. Start shopping today at walgreens.com/Medicare.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling weather.
The official 97.1 FM Talk Weather Center forecast. Mostly sunny and warm today with a high of 77. Clear tonight to start, then a few clouds move in. Grab a jacket, low 56. Sunny start tomorrow, then a few clouds. Breezy and very warm, high 78. Mainly clear and warm for tomorrow night, low 61. Kicking off the weekend Friday. Sun through high clouds, breezy and warm with a high of 79. I'm Cheryl Golden for 97.1 FM Talk.
Hi, my name is Curtis Barks with Complete Auto Body and Repair. In honor of our newest location in Cottleville, for any new customers, simply come into any of our 6 locations and ask us to pay the first $50, and we will. That's right, that means brakes, suspension, alignments, air conditioning, even our auto body work. Please come see our team or visit us at CompleteAB.com. If it's not perfect, it's not complete. Others can't compete with Complete Auto Body.
Dad, and service!
Oh yeah, and service.
He fixed the car!
Stewart's American Mortgage is where you can get a bagel loan. You can't go do a refinance or home purchase with a mortgage and get a bagel loan anywhere else. And the reason why Stewie has the bagel loan is because it makes it the best possible circumstance for you to secure the best possible circumstance for your mortgage. Why the bagel loan? Well, it's called the bagel loan because bagels look like a zero, and that reminds you that you pay zero in fees that other lenders out there, when you go to try to get a mortgage from them, they're going to stack up those fees. You're going to have a lot of closing costs, and you just don't have to pay them when you work with Stewart's American Mortgage. He doesn't roll it into the loan. He doesn't tuck them away for later. He doesn't finance them over 30 years. There are no fees. It's really that simple. If you want him to explain in detail exactly how this works, he's done it to me multiple times, and it is true. It is real. I'm a 2-time customer of the bagel loan with Stewie at Stewart's American Mortgage. I think that you will enjoy that process as well. 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. You can call him or text him. Google that bagel loan. NMLS number 226715.
If you need to freshen up the inside of your home with a new coat of paint, CertaPro painters can not only help, but they'll knock it out of the park. CertaPro painters have powers well beyond those of ordinary painters, like the power of a cut above, the power of reliability, and the power of neighborhood painters where you live. Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated, and it's super easy to set up a free estimate at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. CertaPro painters, proven and trusted experts in painting. Head to CertaPro.com today.
What's your favorite 4-letter word? Chances are you've said it more than a few times dealing with this crazy world we live in. But at Compass Retirement Solutions, our 4-letter word of choice is hope. Hope for a better tomorrow. And hope that your retirement plans don't take a back seat. You've watched inflation soar, and maybe your retirement future feels a little uncertain right now. But all hope is not lost. Find out exactly how much risk you're still taking with your investments. Find out how you may be able to save big on taxes. And find out how having a written retirement plan just might give you the hope you've been looking for. Call today to set up a meeting. 314-373-1598. That's 314-373-1598. Compass Retirement Solutions. 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services but does not provide tax advice. Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory firm in Missouri and Illinois. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Sail with American Queen Voyages in North America's mighty rivers, Great Lakes, oceans, and expeditions to the wilds of Alaska. Call 844-744-0794 or contact your travel professional.
The holidays are fast approaching, and it's the best time to call Zero Res. Book now and save before the holiday rush. Get 3 rooms, Zero Resified, starting at just $129, and a free room of fiber protectant for an $80 savings. Call 314-474-2020 or online, ZeroResSTL.com. Tell them that I sent you.
Big ideas, real debate, solid entertainment. You found it here.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
97.1 FM Talk.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what you're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. I'm happy to be with you here on this Wednesday afternoon. I hope you are enjoying the day. Thanks for keeping us company as we push through this show. Tom DeVore was in studio with us earlier, as well as Dr. West and Dr. Hardeman from Gateway ENTs. Your wife has gone there. You said you've been there?
Yeah. I just went last week.
Yeah?
It was awesome. I'd been to 2 doctors before him, and he finally fixed me.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not kidding.
GatewayDRS.com.
It was great.
You want to talk about it?
I had some ear issues, and it was driving me insane.
Was it ringing?
No, at the end of early October, I took a flight, and I was coming back, and so the pressure shift went on the way back down. It never went away. You know how you swallow and you chew gum, you try to get that thing to pop. It wouldn't go away, and I'm talking for weeks it stayed. So I'm like, okay, I got a problem. So I went to an ENT who did not fix the problem. No, I went to 3 doctors because I went to another guy. Then I went to urgent care. Then I finally went to Dr. Hardeman, and he fixed it in like...
You know what your mistake was?
Not going to him first.
I was going to say, Annie's on here all the time saying how great they are.
I know, but...
I'm not lying.
I thought...
they are, in fact, very good.
You know, I don't trust you.
Uh-huh.
You know that.
Yeah.
And so for me, the proof is in the pudding, and so I finally went to...
It's always about the pudding.
It's always about pudding. So I finally went to Dr. Hardeman, and I'm not kidding that he was like, okay, well, this part's gonna take a couple weeks, so we're still in that process. But he immediately did something that, without getting into the process itself, pretty much made me know, oh, that's how you fix this. And that was it. And I'm like, great. I work in radio, so it's important to have that hearing, you know?
So I was right?
I think he was right. So you were...
And by proxy?
I don't know how to say this where I come across as not being wrong.
Well, you just swallow your pride.
No.
You're doing a real good job.
You tell Annie,
you don't know it.
You tell Annie she's correct.
Hey, Annie Frey called me Ted Cruz at the end of last hour.
I was looking at something and said Ted Cruz.
So it should be easy to say Annie's right.
I've done half of the show without being able to hear what I'm saying.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It's not good.
This has been a day.
It is. Somebody said on the live chat earlier, we've had a lot of tech issues. Are they starting to come? Are we getting back online? We've had a lot. We've had a lot of tech issues that preceded the show, and you don't really. The show must go on. That phrase is very real to us. You just got to keep going. And there was a portion of the show. I'm going to let you figure out which it is if you watch on the YouTube Live.
That was great.
Where I said a lot of things, and I have no idea if I was on the air.
Mm-hmm.
Was I?
You were on the air.
I hope I didn't say anything
I didn't think
stupid.
you were, and I walked out of the studio, and
Thanks
you
for the
were
support.
still on. Yeah,
Ryan was telling me to go to commercial.
I'm like, go to commercial. And Brad, for some reason, is like, no. Somehow you knew we were still on, even though we could not hear a thing. So good job.
I was privy to the issues we were having prior to.
So what you're saying is Brad was right.
Oh, yeah, I'll say that all day.
We'll say it.
Brad was right.
There you go.
Brad does a great job. Brad's right a lot.
How did I do?
I don't know.
You couldn't hear me.
You can't even look at her.
I know. What's the deal? This is
It's
weird.
like look at the door.
I can't.
He looks like a middle schooler getting ready to ask a girl out to the dance.
Yeah, I do, and I feel that way. I'm all itchy, and I'm looking
The
around.
answer's no, Ryan.
Homecoming
No
only
one will
happens
not go
once
out
a year.
with you.
More like Borophyll.
You know, there's like a whole generation of people who are going, what are they talking
Yeah,
about?
what are they doing? What's that?
My son the other day said, shampoo is better.
No, conditioner is better.
And I was like, it goes on the hair, make it silky and smooth. And
oh, really, fool?
like, I couldn't not go into the whole.
You got to do it.
It's Billy Madison, right?
Billy Madison.
I could not. I cannot not.
Yeah.
If you say shampoo is better, I'm going to say no, it's better. And it commences. And if you haven't seen Billy Madison, I apologize, but that's your fault.
That is your fault. Billy Madison is a modern day classic of cinema.
Somebody said I think it was Amanda said on the chat, they sound so professional on the air, and then as soon as they go to break, it's total chaos.
It was chaos.
It was chaos.
I've been in radio for a while. I've never seen that happen before where you were still brought. I've seen it happen where everything shuts down and you just go, ah! And you try to figure out what's going on.
This is one of the reasons you should be watching on the live stream.
I've never seen or heard, for that matter, everything go down in your ears and you're still broadcasting. I don't know how that even happens.
And we have a guest in studio. Tom DeVore was in here. He was making a great point, and then it went off, and he just was like, I guess it's the man. J.B. Pritzker's at it again. I can't beat him. Let me just turn the radio off.
Well, what's crazy is that we're in here freaking out because we're like, what happened? Should we go to commercial? Should we not? Brad knew we shouldn't. I'm yelling, and I don't know what I'm doing. So I walk out of the
You
studio.
weren't yelling.
I was going,
because I was still talking like I was on the air.
I was making baby noises.
Uh-huh.
So I walk out of the studio, and I'm thinking everybody's going to be freaking out because usually a light goes off. There's an off-air alert. I walk out there. Hannah's just sitting there. Hi. What are you doing? You're supposed to be doing more. Why?
Why isn't your hair on fire?
Yeah. So that's when I knew, oh, okay. I guess Annie is going to continue
So what
to
you're
talk to
saying
us.
is Hannah was right.
What I'm saying is literally every single other person in here, including Tom DeVore, was right.
And
other
handling
than
it
me.
and handling it
Yeah.
professionally.
Yeah.
Tom DeVore was like a seasoned professional broadcaster, and you were just spinning in circles going,
I just have to come in here and comment on the chaos. So we have had just everything in the world happen today, and I came in to give an updated show sheet because that was crazy too. And Annie was talking on air, normally keeping it together as a professional would. Ryan is doing hand signals like, wrap it up. And he's like,
I didn't know any of this was happening.
Whispering, yelling as we're on air.
Whisper yelling?
Yeah, he's like,
that sounds exactly like something, right?
Yeah.
When like your whisper is louder than if you would just talk.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know people who do that in church, and you're like, you're really loud.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he said,
Everyone can hear you over the pastor.
He was like, go get Trisha. Go get Trisha. I had to run across the building.
Were you
Go
like,
get Trisha.
You go get Trisha.
I thought you were saying go get your show. I'm
Well,
like,
then
what does that mean?
everybody was fine
Trisha.
out there. Really, that was true. Everybody was fine. And
Yeah.
we were not fine. But, and you know, it's funny. Brad and I had a meeting today with all the producers. And our big boss, Steve, literally said today that all that matters is that the product is on the air. And I think this might be him testing us.
That it sounds good on the speakers.
Yes.
But it was really funny because Ryan goes out because he's like telling me to wrap it and go to commercial. And He goes out there. He sees you're fine. When he comes
Brad
back
picks
in,
him up by the shoulders and just lifts him up and sets him outside the studio and says, "Stay here."
So he comes back in and he's like, "You're fine. You're on the air."
Hey, you're good. You're good.
Everybody act normal.
Just so you guys know, I wasn't in that meeting today.
We knew you weren't
should have been.
So what you're saying is Steve was right.
What I'm saying is that I got an email from corporate saying that I had been reassigned to parking duty because I'm really good at doing the hand motion.
Oh, and the parking thing went out today, too.
Oh, yeah, that too.
It's just one of those days.
Yep.
Everybody knows what that's like. You know what?
Yes.
You know at your office when the printer doesn't work and you've got to be at a meeting with a proposal and like all you have to do is click print and now the printer's not working. Why is the printer not working?
Yeah, that's Wiggins America about half the time.
It creates. You have all week to record your show.
Not the show, the segment.
Oh, that's a different.
Right
thing.
before I walk in here. Oh, the printer's not working.
You need the printer for Wiggins America?
Heck yes, the research I do. You kidding?
He reads those.
No, I am not kidding. I am dead freaking serious right now.
He reads that segment verbatim.
Yeah, I hand you your script. I hand you Brad.
It's
his
amazing.
Script.
It'd be like Joe Biden's scripts if that were actually written verbatim. Speaking of, I have this great clip that I just can't not. I want you to Joe Biden's going to do a speech tonight.
Yay.
The classic, if you vote for anybody other than Democrats, democracy will die. It's my favorite thing that the Democrats say because it's actually fascist.
Yeah. Vote for us or else.
I think that this is an endorsement of not voting for you, which I wouldn't do anyway. But I want you to know that everything is under control.
You know, we're going to charge you, I'm making this up, we're going to charge you 10 cents per an aspirin. And you say, no, we're only going to pay 5. Well, we're not going to sell it. You no problem. Mm-hmm. They're going to lose 50 billion aspirin or whatever the hell they sell. Mm-hmm. The point is, they're going to have to respond.
Mm-hmm. What? Wish you would just do that tonight. Go up to the podium and just say, just start talking about something and just say, I'm making this up.
You know, we're going to charge you, I'm making this up.
Yeah, we know. You're making the whole freaking presidency up as you go. Oh. We know. And the people who are handling you, they know too.
Handling
you. It was
you.
10 cents. Now it's going to be 5 cents because of legislation. You lose like...
We're going to charge you 10 cents per an aspirin.
50 billion aspirins.
And you say, no, we're only going to pay 5. Well, we're not going to sell it. You no problem.
Oh.
They're going to lose 50 billion aspirin or whatever the hell they sell.
I think you say napkins.
Or mattresses.
I don't know.
Every 8 years, Annie.
Man, we're in trouble.
Ooh, you gotta laugh or you'll cry.
You're not wrong.
Those clips are every day. You guys know this better than anyone.
Yes.
Yep.
Those clips are every day.
Well, and here's the crazy thing, too. You play, so when we play X's and O's on Fridays and stuff like that, you play these clips that sound like absolute nonsense. And
X's and O's, it's always quotes that either Joe Biden or, the two top people in the country say dumb things, and you make it sound like a distinguished British man.
Yes.
And you're like, nope, that still sounds bad.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that you run these things through an AI, and they sound crazy. And it's supposed to be that the AI just sounds goofy, but the AI actually sounds better than the real clip. It kind of ruins the game. It's awkward putting these weirdly phrased sentences into AI because it doesn't even know what to do with.
RSG on YouTube says, was Biden breaking up on YouTube? No, that was just Biden.
50 billion ham mattress. What the hell they sell?
So, did you edit the Bill Maher clip?
I did.
Are you confident in it?
Yes.
Okay. I love this because what Bill Maher is about to do here is the same thing that you could see Steven Crowder do, or you could see any person on the right do. And if the person on the right does this, it's not as funny as if Bill Maher does. Listen to this.
What better costume to wear this year than the most ridiculous one I could think of? You. This year, I'm going as an uber-woke, overly anxious, perpetually offended 20-something. Would you like to see what I have for this costume? Okay. I think you're going to really enjoy it. Okay. First of all, I have my the patriarchy T-shirt. Oh, yes. And then I have a check from the patriarchy to pay my car insurance.
That's a lot of props.
Okay, I've got my nose ring. My vape pen. I've got my cloth surgical mask, my surgical mask, my N95 mask, and my face shield.
How's he going to vape through all that, though?
Carefully.
Then after I leave the house, I have my Klonopin to take the edge off, my Adderall to put it back on. I have my participation trophy, my cat ear headphones to listen to sad music, the stick that goes up my and the leash for my support animal. And just in case anyone still doesn't get what I'm all about, I have a wet blanket. All right. Thank you very much.
That's hilarious. But listen to that crowd.
They love it.
They get it. They get it. They get the joke. It's a joke now. Bill Maher coming onto the stage and acknowledging this for the absurdity that it is a laughable joke. Bill Maher is Bill Maher, but he has an audience full of people and continues to have an audience full of people who think that is hysterical. Us thinking that's hysterical, duh.
Yep.
Obviously. Bill Maher's audience thinking that's hysterical. I can't imagine that his audience is now full of Trump-supporting conservative voters. But they get the joke. That is encouraging to me.
That is a paradigm in the midst of shifting. That is what's happening before our eyes, is that stuff is going to go by the wayside.
This is a fancy phrase.
Thank you very much. Again, I'm writing all of this ahead of time.
I know. I know. Make his arm go back the way it's supposed to. Hannah's trying to fix Ryan Wiggins' elbows.
I'm so confused. He's double jointed, scary.
Hannah is shook.
What? That doesn't look weird, does it?
It looks disgusting.
It looks like a Demogorgon.
So how'd they get that way? He's like, I was walking, I fell down, my arms just went like that, and then...
Man, if you are not watching on the live stream, don't. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, I'm going to add to Bill Maher. Tammy Bruce used to be a Democrat. She used to be a liberal. And she said something on Fox News just the other day, and I thought, spot on, go on with yourself. And we're going to listen to what Tammy Bruce had to say about the malignant narcissism that's plaguing our country. Tammy Bruce on the Annie Frey Show when we come back.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
97.1 is your place for full Decision 2022 coverage.
Decision 2022.
Sponsored by Air Comfort Service and TR Hughes Homes on 97.1 FM Talk.
If you're going to go shopping for something exciting, I know it's probably not going to be a new HVAC system. It's not something that you get to kind of look at and take in. Usually you buy it out of necessity, sometimes even out of emergency. Air Comfort Service understands that, which is why they want to make the process as smooth and as simple as they possibly can. Corey Malone and the amazing people at Air Comfort Service have a whole host of different ways to save you money, to get you the best possible product in your home that's going to have you in your comfort zone all through the winter. They offer free estimates on new equipment, and through November 19th, double carrier cool cash rebates, a savings of up to $3,500 on qualifying carrier equipment. You can also potentially qualify for 0% financing for up to 72 months, along with those utility rebates. Experience Air Comfort Service's 53 years of award-winning service, and you'll understand, like myself and the Frey family, why we are in our comfort zone with Air Comfort Service. You can find out all the details you need to know online at aircomfortservice.com.
From abortion to inflation, the issues in our local elections have far-reaching implications. We're breaking these issues down on The Home Stretch, Odyssey's new original podcast. I'm Doug Sovereign. Each week I'll talk to a range of experts to give you a no-fuss 15-minute download of the most pressing issues on this year's ballots. Listen to The Home Stretch on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
AMCO presents Bet You Didn't Know.
Bet you didn't know that your car's transmission is made up of 800 pieces. Also, bet you didn't know that AMCO's fixed over 40 million transmissions, and that AMCO offers a nationwide warranty.
AMCO offers easy payment plan options for most any credit situation, so you can fix it fast and pay it off slow at AMCO.
That's AMCO, AA. MCO.
If you own a house in St. Louis and you want to sell it as is without any inspections or need to make any repairs, call Chris Buys Homes St. Louis at 314-782-8000 or at chrisbuyshomeStLouis.com and get your cash offer without any obligation, commissions, banks, or headaches. Chris buys vacant houses, inherited houses, fixer-uppers, beautiful houses, even the tenant won't pay their rent apartment. Google Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis. That's Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis. And check out the best reviews from satisfied customers. When you sell to Chris, you decide when you want to move, according to your schedule and your terms. Go to chrisbuyshomesinstlouis.com. Google Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis or call 314-782-8000. That's 314-782-8000. And get the offer you have been waiting for. Chris Buys Homes in St. Chris Buys Homes in St. or call 314-782-8000.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right, nice, soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
When you walk into Andrea's Steakhouse in O'Fallon and Fairview Heights, Illinois, you will realize that they are the reader's choice of this area over and over and over. They've got awards on their walls, probably more than they can even put up because they win them so often. #1 steakhouse in the area, so if you've never eaten there, highly suggest that you check it out soon. Make the drive into Illinois, Fairview Heights, O'Fallon, Illinois, of course. Their famous steak sauce is made right there on site, so you can pick up a bottle while you're there. You can get that at area grocery stores like Schnucks and like Deerberg's or at Andreas.com. It is a brush-on steak sauce, so if you've never experienced Andrea's, next time you're grilling, have it right there. Brush it on while you're grilling. It's very easy to do, and what a wonderful taste that you're going to bring out of whatever meat you're choosing to have, whether it be pork or steak or chicken. It's great on fish. It's even a good binder in burgers, and it works in stews this time of year. So check it out. Andreas.com, again, is where you can start by finding the location of the restaurant, or you can order the sauce right there, or pick it up in area grocery stores. Like I said, it's at Straub's or Schnucks or Deerberg's, or again at Andreas.com.
For details and a list of all station contest rules, visit www.971talk.com/rules. You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Deeper than the oceans, higher than the stars above. But I am
He starts his article by saying, "I don't love my country." Bluntly. He writes, "I don't believe in our symbols or our purported values." We should feel sorry for him, right? This is his problem. And I think he's pretty miserable, and I think this article reflects that, to where you feel kind of an anger when you see love or embracement or teamwork. And do you remember the time when there was some atheists working to get "In God We Trust" off the money?
Yes.
Right? That's malignant narcissism.
Yep.
Narcissism is the belief that everything that happens because of you or surrounds you. His problem, the problem of atheists, is when they see something that is the opposite of what they believe and they want to change it to reflect what they think. That's what the left does as well. The fact is, he is the outlier. He can have his life and feel that way, but he's not going to change our system, sports, the country, you or me, to feel the same way as well. He can own that. He can wallow in it. But the fact is, sports, especially with the Olympics, that is about national pride, right? Sports is about city pride. It's about state pride. It's about your university. Those things are natural. If he does not love his country, if he hates his country, that's a whole nother issue that he's going to have to deal with, and not on our backs.
So there you have Tammy Bruce yesterday on Outnumbered. And she's talking about a Netflix documentary that has to do, I don't know what it's called. It's like the Team America, NBA, not NBA, Olympic
it's
basketball
the Redeem team.
Redeem team, yeah. And there was this criticism. This author was writing this criticism of this film. And its main criticism, what he leads off in his criticism, is that he doesn't like America. He doesn't like America's symbols. And there are things in it that he does say are worthy of the watch, and he doesn't pan the whole thing. But there is, her terms, malignant narcissism. In this country today, there is an approved line of thinking, and then there's everything else. And if you step back and you think, what are the beliefs that I hold? And yes, it does include religious beliefs, but it certainly isn't limited to religious beliefs. What can you believe about anything that you are not feeling comfortable on a stage, on a social media tweet, in the privacy of your own home, if you have guests over to your house? What are the things that you do not feel safe saying out loud? It's not a matter of truth and facts. It's a matter of opinions. And beliefs that people hold are often rooted in opinions. I mean, like any type of Christian faith, to suggest that you have faith in something means that you have to have a belief. That there has to be something that you hold true in your heart that maybe can't be explained in an evidentiary, factual proof that would show anybody with some modicum of common sense. They go, well, you've proved this to me, and yes, the sky happens to be blue. Faith requires a belief in something that goes beyond what is provable. That's what faith is. And people have faith in religion. People have faith in athletic teams. People have faith in themselves. They have faith in their loved ones. There's faith in all sorts of different people and things. But what you got to understand is that the world we live in right now is one where truth, facts, evidence, all of that has been muddied and blurred so incredibly much that what is actually real and true and scientific, that no longer exists. But the only thing to these people that is real and true and evidentiary is what you must think. It's not just enough to believe it. You've got to prove it. You've got to prove that you're on the right side of the issues, that you're on the right side of the things that you believe. My favorite analogy that I've been using lately is from Office Space and Jennifer Aniston and the 15 pieces of flair that she must display on her vest in order for everybody to understand how into the game she is. If you're not wearing your required pieces of virtue signaling flair, you will be dinged for it. It doesn't even matter what the flair is. It doesn't matter if you believe in it. You just have to show it. So beliefs are now right and wrong, and your beliefs are adherent to what other people tell you you are permitted to believe and participate in. But let's talk about what's actually true. And let's talk about the people who are in high positions of power to influence what is known to be true. Senator Dick Durbin tweeted yesterday, in the days since Musk took Twitter private, the platform has seen an uptick in hate speech. And Musk himself used the platform and his influence to spread a baseless conspiracy theory about a violent attack on an elected official's family member. He then followed up. Free speech does not include spreading misinformation to downplay political violence. Senator.
Yeah, the heck it don't.
Senator. So we have the idea of what we believe to be true. We have things that you hold in your heart that you have faith in. You're not allowed to have those. You will be programmed to believe the things that are approved to be programmed. And if you even dissent from any of that, you will keep it to yourself. You will not speak on it. But then you can have a senator from the state of Illinois say that free speech does not include spreading misinformation to downplay political violence, that is inherently false. That is fake news. That is a tweet that is misinformation about tweeting misinformation. Dick Durbin, you are wrong. And I have a feeling in my head that you know you're wrong, but you're so out of practice of having to check yourself in places like Twitter that you just say these things because it's kind of like, oh, you know what I meant. No, sir, Senator. We know what you meant, and we know that you want to utilize your power, your authority to exert some sort of pressure on people to say what you approve and to not say what you don't approve. That malignant narcissism that Tammy Bruce is talking about in that reviewer of that Netflix film, the entirety of this anti-America, anti-patriotism movement is something that you are supposed to subscribe to. And if you don't, you're supposed to be quiet about it. That is such a meta version of narcissism. That is such an unrealistic expectation of other people to think that we need to be a more diverse, accepting, loving society by shutting up and only believing what they tell you to. I mean, guys, we get it now. You've pushed it too far. Even Bill Maher knows the joke. And his audience laughs as well.
It's amazing how quickly, I'm not going to say people in power on the left. I'm going to say the left, the ideology of the left and people who adhere to it have punted the idea of free speech. That used to be an American value. And these people, the worm came squiggling along and they said, ooh,
Heidi Klum.
That looks pretty good. Yeah, that worm. Ew. They couldn't quite bite that
one. If you don't know, Google it. And blame Ryan Wiggins.
They saw that coming and they said, oh, you know what? That looks pretty good. I can silence my enemies. Gulp. And they are hooked. They are hooked, and it doesn't matter what comes along. They are addicted to getting rid of speech they don't like now. That's not free speech.
It's because somebody went along with it when they said, hey, let's do this. Let's stop this from happening. Somebody went along with it. Somebody in power, somebody in control of stuff, not naming any particular social media platforms, but you all know who they are. They went along with it, and then they said, you know what? We can do this. Let's do it. It's unbelievable to me that because that was the side that was always like, you have the right to say what you want. You have the right to put a crucifix in a jar of urine because that's art and we can say what we want. But now you can't say what you want because that might offend this group of people or that might offend this group of people. And that's hate speech. And hate speech isn't speech that you hate. It's just not.
The problem with, what Dick Durbin is trying to say there is he's trying to make a point that people are, if you look at what Elon Musk tweeted and, everybody has their opinions on it. Was it fake news? Was it not? It is what it is. And I'm not dabbling in the theories of what happened with Paul Pelosi. I hope that they prosecute and detain or deport. I almost said export. We could export immigrants. Sure. We have plenty. It'd be our biggest export. I want them to take it to the criminal and hold him accountable and make an example out of them. I hope that they do that. His proximity to Nancy Pelosi bears nothing on what I think about what should happen to that criminal who did what he did to Paul Pelosi. Dick Durbin saying free speech does not include spreading misinformation to downplay political violence. What he needs to say there is we need to not spread misinformation that is going to downplay political violence. That's what he needs to say. Because saying that free speech doesn't include that is patently false. What Dick Durbin is trying to say is, let's stop spreading misinformation. Dan Crenshaw says it literally does include that. You're a big boy and a lawyer, I thought. Correct the narrative. I have to do it every day when you yahoos try to tell people the Inflation Reduction Act reduces inflation, or when you claim there's no such thing as gender.
Wow.
Thank you, Dan Crenshaw. I appreciate that sentiment. We have to get back to the place where we let idiots speak freely so we know who the idiots are. We have to let hateful people who want to act in hateful ways, we have to let them identify themselves so that we can isolate them from society. We have to isolate the bad things, and you can't do that if you can't call it out. You have to see the bad and say that is bad in order for people to think twice about being bad. That has to be the case. We're not allowed to identify anything right now as abnormal. The word abnormal is not supposed to be used because that, by using the word abnormal, you're saying that there is a normal. And your definition of normal and my definition of normal might be different. And that can coexist at the same time, and nobody needs to be mad about it. I can have my thoughts and opinions. I identify as a suburban, white, Christian wife and mother of 4 children who's very sleepy and tired and overcommitted, and I care deeply about prioritizing my faith and my family and doing so with the platform that I've been given. Those are all choices that I make for my life. And if your choices are incredibly different than that, that is 100% okay. Isn't that what equality is? But it's not equal if you tell me that my life choices are not permittable or permissible and that I have to shake the things that I am in order to adhere to your worldview. You are what you hate. And it's not going to play much longer in this country. We can dabble in these social, experimental, virtue signaling worlds when everything in America is kind of hitting on all cylinders and it's going well. It is not going well. And your woke nature of looking at me and my lifestyle and saying that because I am any of those things that I am, that I need to sit down and take a minute so that somebody else can get a leg up. No, we all need to be working to elevate one another. Not pushing people back, not pushing lifestyles back. There's nothing wrong with identifying as a Christian white person in America. There's nothing wrong with identifying as an agnostic or atheist non-white person in America, because you can do that here in this country. That is actually what our strength is here, that we get to be different, that we're not from some sort of millennially long generation of people who have always done the same thing all the time. We're a melting pot. It's our strength. The diversity is our strength. And the idea that I can be a Christian and that you can be Jewish and the person in the car next to you can be agnostic and the person in the car next to them can be Muslim in the country and we can coexist, that's what makes us strong. The people who are trying to point out your differences and tell you what order you're supposed to get in, they're doing that to make you weak so that they can make themselves strong. And I don't think America is here for it anymore. I think they're tired of it. I think that they've exhausted the amount of time that they've had to sit there and be silent because they're not really in the business of pissing people off. They're not really in the business of like trying to make your day worse because it's going to make their day worse. It's going to be a frustration for them to have to stand up and defend something. It's easier to not say anything until it's not. I think we're there. Let's take a quick break. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on that narcissistic, malignant narcissism that Tammy Bruce was talking about. I thought she made such a great point. Now, we have a YouTube live chat poll, which got taken down with the first YouTube live stream that we had to reboot. So I need you to go. This might be is this the first time I've mentioned the YouTube live chat on the air? Poll?
I believe so.
Whoops. What issue factors in the most to your vote? Rising crime, economic concerns, preservations of freedom, or other? You guys have a definitive answer for this?
I do.
Yes.
All right, let's hear it from Brad and Ryan when Hannah will come in with the results. And I need you to go flood that poll because we lost all the votes before. Annie Frey YouTube channel, get the poll vote in. We'll be back in a minute.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe. The Mark Reardon Show.
Sean Spicer, Newsmax, host of Spicer & Company.
It's Democratic cities. It's Democrats who control Congress. It's Democrats in the White House. And people are going to hold them accountable on every front.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
Single-family houses and apartments are the key to passive income, aka retirement. No one knows this better than America's most successful investor, educator, self-made multimillionaire, and CEO of Lifestyles Unlimited, Del Walmsley. Meet Del's team live in St. Louis. 2 days only, Saturday and Sunday, November 5th and 6th. To attend, register now at GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. That's GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. Limited seating, unlimited potential. Register today at GiveMeTotalFreedom.com.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing, together millions of things for our planet. Planning a road trip this fall? Maximize your fuel economy by inflating tires to proper pressure and packing light. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
You had a solid retirement dream, sell your home in a few years, bank the equity, downsize, and travel, but inflation and recession has you wondering if all your hard-earned equity will still be there. What if you could recession-proof your equity right now? You can with Truehold. Truehold will buy your home for its best current value before a recession can erode it. You get to bank all the cash now and live in your home for as long as you want, and Truehold covers all property taxes, insurance, repairs, and maintenance. And since Truehold pays your home's current value in cash now, it's yours to do whatever you like. Don't wait for inflation, recession, and interest rates to erode your home's value. Visit Truehold.com and discover how much Truehold will buy your home for today based on its best current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without having to move. That's Truehold.com.
Anytime I can speak to you about people who will provide you a personalized service that's going to be a cut above the rest, I like to take that opportunity. And Laura Michael Insurance is your go-to for personalized care and concern about your insurance situation. She can help small business owners with the controlling of their insurance costs. These things can mount up over time, and you might be working with somebody who you don't even really have a communication with them. They're not looking at your situation to see if year after year, if it can be reviewed and improved. Laura Michael Insurance, she's the one you want to make sure that you have that personalized care. I know Laura Michael, she is fun and she is on top of it. She is going to make sure that the experience that you have when there's an insurance situation that boils up, you are going to want to talk to Laura Michael. She's fantastic. She's located in St. Charles, Missouri, and she is ready to take your phone call. Manage risk for families and business owners. She helps with auto, home, life, and commercial insurance, and she's been in the business for over 25 years. If you're looking for a reliable person who wants to be there for you, to give you the personalized, customized, old-fashioned way of doing business when it comes to your insurance needs, Laura Michael Insurance is your destination. Reach out to her. Give her the opportunity to earn your business today. LauraMichaelInsurance.com. That's Laura, M-I-C-H-E-L, insurance.com. You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Save $50 to $3,500 with double carrier cool cash rebates on a qualifying new high-efficiency furnace or HVAC system. For details, get in your comfort zone at aircomfortservice.com.
Well, the truth, well, it hurts to say. I'm gonna pack up my bags and I'm gonna go away. I'm gonna split, I can't stand it. I'm gonna give it up and quit, ain't never coming back. Girl, but before I get you going, I got to say, I know you used to love me, but that was yesterday. And the truth,
welcome back to the Annie Frey Show.
I won't fight it.
Happy that you're here with us. There are so many different ways that you can invite us along your afternoon. But I want to remind you that the Odyssey app is one of the best ways that you can do that. The AUDACY app, you can download it, follow 97.1 FM Talk, and take us with you wherever you go. We're happy to accompany you. Also, election night coverage. Boy, you are going to want to be with 97.1 that night. Stream us on the Odyssey app, and you can also tune into the Annie Frey Show YouTube channel. Go find Annie Frey on YouTube. We're live right now. And subscribe. And if you hit the notification bell, you'll get the heads up when we go live. We're going to talk about specific plans here after the show is over. Are you excited about it?
Yeah, I am. We've got some great ideas. I'm going to run those by you.
You want to do it on air? Should we do that right now?
Yes.
Okay.
You ready for this?
Yes.
I have a children's map of the United States. It's a map of the United States. It's very cartoony and goofy.
Map? M-A-P?
Map and mat.
Oh.
Yes, it's both.
Mapped.
It's a mapped.
Matt.
My proposition is that we just lay that down on the ground. We hang a camera over it.
Twister?
No. No.
Next to every state that goes red, we got
That's a long night, though. Because how long you got to hold it? Till the next state is called?
It'd be bad because it'd be by time zone.
Yeah, that's true.
We'd all be on the East Coast.
We have to hold this position now for roughly an hour, and we're going to fill that time by talking to you.
Yeah. In a contortion of sorts.
You'd also be laughing because with 4 of us, that mat is about as big as my torso. It's not that big. We'd be really crammed in there. But my proposition is that we hang a camera above it and that I lay on my back and do election coverage with the mat. That's my proposition. I think it would look really funny.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
We'll discuss more later. Hey, I got to tell a story real quick before we get to the YouTube poll results. My dad. Oh man, I hope it's okay that I say this.
Well, we don't rewind. We don't know who this is. Let's pretend we don't know who it is.
This could be anyway. Yeah. This could be any dad or mom.
Any dad or mom.
Or somebody in between.
Or some sort of middle person
Non-parent.
that's not a parent.
A non-binary
non-parent. I'm just saying what you say.
Was cleaning my son's shoes.
Really? What's that Craigslist ad look like?
I get this pic. So I was trying to clean my son's shoes, and this is the weirdest thing ever. He had this like red. It was like the red ink from the shoes was seeping into the white. I don't even know why it happened. I scrubbed them. I got them looking great. I set them out on the deck. In 12 hours, they turned red again. They were sitting on the deck. There was no rain. I don't know. It was voodoo stuff, and it made me really mad.
I don't like this to sound like dark arts.
Is it? Yes. So let's go back to my dad.
Or whoever.
The person or
non-binary, non-gendered middle parent.
Possibly human. Maybe.
Raccoons.
Dog. So he was over. They were over at my house. I let them in, which is a terrible idea.
He refers to them as they.
Yes. And then they came into my house and said, boy, those shoes need to be cleaned. And I said it would be wonderful if this person who happens to be a bit of a laundry whiz, which is a resume qualifying skill.
It's not the first time you said this about this person.
Yeah, I know. We talk about it all the time. Said, you want me to try it? And I'm like, yes, I in fact do. So I get this text messages last night from this person who happens to have my number. I don't know why.
Yeah.
And look at these clean shoes. These shoes look great.
They look brand
new.
new.
Out on the deck again.
Amazing.
The shoes look fantastic. And I mean, they're my son's shoes. So this was this was a tall order. And I said, nice. Are they dry? And they said they are. So I sent a GIF, because I like to use GIFs, of President Biden and his wife, the First Lady Jill Biden. And they're like cheering, sitting in a chair with balloons and stuff. I don't know. It was probably some like, I don't know why they were doing this, but they're just sitting there and I was cheering this person on.
Mm-hmm.
So I send this GIF of Joe and Jill. And this is what I get back. Joe and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Joe fell down and broke his crown, and Jill made him do it again.
Bravo from this gender non-binary shoe cleaner.
That's my favorite.
I got a little confused in there because they was the pronoun that was used for many things, including the shoes and your dad.
Mm-hmm.
So I assume. Yeah. They.
That's rude.
Was overused, and I got a little lost, but I think by the end I was back on track.
Really, the only thing that matters is the poem.
Yeah, the poem is good.
The poem was great.
The poem is really where the payoff is.
All right, YouTube poll. Let's get to it before we forget. The question is asking what issue. Wait, sorry.
We're not whispering to you. We're whispering.
I'm confused.
What is issue factor? What is issue factors in the most?
What issue factors in the most to your vote?
Okay.
Yeah,
the second time the poll went up, it got worded
Just
a
read
little
it
different.
as it is. What is issue factor?
Man, I'm glad that this is happening now because this really sums up the whole show.
Most to your vote: rising crime, economic concern, economic concerns, preservation of freedoms, or other. Our poll went down earlier, but it's back up. And right now the results say 44% say economic concerns, 40% say preservation of freedoms, 12% say rising crime, 5% say other. Luckily, we got to keep people's comments.
Ryan, what was yours?
My head says America first, preservation of freedoms. My heart says I am losing too much money, and I am voting on that issue.
I'm freedoms, and the reason I say freedoms is because everything else flows from that. If you don't have freedoms, your economics are going to suffer. Everything else on that list is going to suffer.
I do think that ultimately, being someone who is paying a lot of attention, I would say freedoms. But I think inflation and the economy is going to be for the issue for a lot of people.
It was a really, really hard thing for me to vote on. I almost voted crime, but I went with rising
I think it really
cost.
matters where you live. I mean, if you were in Chicago or New York City, or if you were living in downtown St. Louis, I think you might vote crime.
Well,
because it'd be on your literal doorstep.
Yeah, I almost voted crime because if there's crime, you might not
You'd
have
be thinking
money.
about it all the time. Every time you step out the door, you'd be thinking about it.
All right, so we're gonna leave and go have a meeting about election night coverage, and we are going to make this incredibly informative for you, and we're also going to focus on making it very fun. And Ryan wants to play Twister with the United States map, and we're going to see how that pans out.
I call Idaho right foot red.
Idaho red? This is a bullish statement.
Yeah, right? I've been watching the polls.
Yeah. Yeah, tomorrow's Week in America. Where's Idaho going? What's going to happen? We don't know. We can't wait this long. 5 more days. What is Idaho going to do? Maybe Mark Reard knows. Stick around. He'll tell you in a minute.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well,